Welcome to another edition of City Talk here on City Channel Pittsburgh. I'm John McIntire. Let's meet somebody else who works for the city and the taxpayers and everybody in his district for that matter. Corey O'Connor, Councilman Corey O'Connor. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Councilman O'Connor, how long have you been a councilman?
This is my 7th year.
Tell us about your district.
So my district's actually one of the more diverse in the city of Pittsburgh. I represent a number of areas, a number of neighborhoods. I won't name all, but the bigger ones are Squirrel Hill, Greenfield, Hazelwood, and Lincoln Place. I live in Swiss Elm Park, which is part of 14th Ward. So we have 3 big wards, or 15, 14, and 31.
So that's a lot of land to cover.
It is. I believe it's the largest land mass in the city because to get to Lincoln Place, you actually leave the city in portions and get back into it. So we have a very large district.
So what are your constituents telling you? What are they complaining about, or what would they like to see you do? I realize this is a very broad question.
Yeah, that's a very broad one. So potholes are probably number one. Potholes and paving, it's that time of season. In the fall, or obviously in the winter, it comes to plowing streets. So, you know, you sort of, after 7 years, you get a feel for what time of year it is when the weather changes and what kind of calls you're going to get. But we always make sure that we try to get as many projects done as we possibly can, or constituent calls as we can possibly do.
So you hear about the potholes.
Yes.
Do you hear about the bike lanes?
We hear about them a little bit, but
that's not
really
big in your
much.
district.
It's not big. Actually, we're looking to install a couple bike share programs in the district. We don't have any. We did do a couple bike corrals, and actually in Squirrel Hill they designed bike racks as shaped of squirrels. So it's pretty unique, and representing both two of the 4 major parks, Frick and Shenley, I'm actually surprised that we don't have a bike share yet. Just the connection between the parks would be a great spot to have one somewhere on Forbes Avenue, and I know the Squirrel Hill Business District is looking forward to having one.
Are you able to walk up and down the streets in your district unaccosted and unmolested, or is everybody constant?
Oh, it's fun. That's the best part of the job. I think, you know, you have to sit behind the desk to read some stuff and get some work done and make some calls, but when you're out in the streets, you learn more about the neighborhood, you get more complaints, concerns, hey, this is what we need to do, this is what happened the other day. And when you're there, I was just on Murray Avenue the other day, and there was a rainstorm. So I was in the pizza shop, came out, and you could just see the water that was coming down the hill, and it's like, oh, well, wait, that's a major issue. We need to address that. So it's actually better to be out in the district than it is downtown most of the time.
How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm 33.
So that's very youthful. That's very young for your position in the city. Is it not, generally speaking?
Yeah, no. So I still tease everybody. I'm still the youngest, and I've been here for a while. But I think it's great that, you know, young people that have been involved, they want to get involved, and we're seeing it not only in City Council, but across the state, even across the country now. A lot of younger people are starting to get involved because they see it's a great time to serve, and, you know, you're not doing this for the money. Everybody says, oh, you know, you do this, you get paid so much. No, we don't. Look up the salaries. But we do it because we have a passion for the city, we have a passion for the residents, and we want to do the right thing.
Your father, of course, was a legend as the mayor and as a city council person. I'm sure you feel his presence when you're in and around the city-county building?
Yeah, I think I get I knew your dad, or your dad did this. I was just at a constituent's house this morning, and she said, look, your dad presented my daughter with an 8th grade award at Greenfield School. I said, okay, well, you know, that's great, and I love hearing those stories. My mom loves to hear those stories. I want to say, when I first got in, it was almost weekly, somebody would mail me a picture of them and my dad somewhere, and I said, that's great. People still remember him. They still remember his legacy, and they also, you know, remember the time that they spent with him because he was accessible. And I think as an elected, you have to be accessible to your constituents.
Well, he also, as you know, I knew your dad as a member of the news media.
I know, you dressed up like a chicken. I remember that one, yeah.
I'd forgotten that. That was because it was a debate and he didn't want to do it.
It was a debate and he couldn't do it.
And I was pretending he was chicken.
Right, yeah.
Boy, I'd totally forgotten about that. But you know what? To his credit, he forgave me.
Came back.
He
was
back.
fine.
Yeah.
I think I went to your show more than any other shows as a kid.
How old were you then?
Well, when he started on council, I was 7. And then obviously when he was mayor, I was a little bit older than that. But so I remember going to shows.
How old were you when I met you?
probably 10 or 11.
Holy cow.
And you actually a couple times brought us on and say, look, Bob comes with his entourage.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
me and two of his friends.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom didn't like me going all the time because it was usually a school night, and it was probably 10 o'clock till 11. Then we would stop and get food, so I didn't get home till about 12:30 every time. But he enjoyed doing it.
I do not know if I remember thinking little Corey O'Connor here is going to be a big
I
city
didn't get
council
any
person
taller,
someday.
so yeah, it didn't help. Yeah.
All right, so biggest challenge going forward?
I think there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot on the table. Within the district, we have a lot of development areas that we're looking at, obviously Hazelwood being a big one. We're installing new lights at McGee Field this summer. So there's a lot of projects that we have to get done. We're actually replacing another bridge and doing a rehab of a bridge. So there's going to be a lot of capital projects. I think citywide, we're pushing affordable housing. We have to ensure that we can start a new wave of manufacturing and other types of jobs that are coming into the region as well. So there's a lot really happening within the city.
And if Amazon should choose to come here and if they should choose the Hazelwood site, is that the best thing ever or the scariest thing ever? Or
well,
both?
I think up front it's scary because the market rates are going to go up. Residential rates are going to go high, and that's why we actually passed a bill a couple months ago called deed restrictions, where if you buy a city property, we now can start controlling what you can rent that out to some individual. So now all of a sudden the rent in Hazelwood will not explode, and I think that is a major concern. But we're also talking about how many residents are going to get hired on that site. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is ensuring that the wealth is not just on site but in the entire neighborhood, and making sure that it's affordable for years and years to come.
Corey O'Connor, thanks so much for doing the interview today. Really good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
That's City Talk for this edition. We'll see you next time.